I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use the plasma cutter. Now, when you come back to the station, again, make sure you have your directions, read through them carefully so you know what you're doing before you start. But the first part on here just says we need to set everything up. So we have our portable plasma cutter right over here. First thing says unwrap the cord and plug in the plasma cutter. The outlet looks like a winking emoji. So it's against the wall right over there. So we're just going to start by unwrapping our cords that we have on here. Okay. I'm going to find my outlet one. Now, we want to make sure that we always unplug our cords and wrap them up at the end so they're not dangling all over the place. Okay, so I have it plugged into the wall. I have it located back here. I like to tend to keep it still wrapped around the pole a little bit in the back of this cart. It's just easier so it doesn't end up dragging on the ground. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unwrap my ground. When I do this, I'm going to take this and I'm just going to ground it to the table. All right. The whole table is made out of metal, plus our little angle irons and stuff like that, so it will conduct through that. So we're just going to ground out our table that we have right there. Then the next part, it says unwrap the torch and place it on the cutting table in between the slats. Make sure you unwrap this whole entire thing so it gives you lots of room to move if you need to. All right, I'm going to take this, place it down here. Now, this is the end of our torch. We want to be very careful with this. There's a lot of different consumables that are inside of here, okay? So we don't want to be slamming it down or knocking it around or anything like that. So be very careful, even though this is off right now, but be careful with the tip. You never want to touch this area, all right? And I'm just going to take it and I'm going to place it in between the slats like this, but I'm going to do it off to the side so you can see. So I have that right there. This way we're not going to hit our trigger or anything like that. Even though it's not on, I still want to be very careful as I'm going through this. All right? We need to make sure that we plug in our air supply. There is a red cord that I have hanging down over here. Okay, so you're going to take this, and on the back part of our plasma cutter is where we are going to place that on there, so we have our air supply. Okay, now the next thing we would do is turn it on when we're ready, but let's get all of our material and everything ready. So the next part tells us, lay everything up. You are definitely going to need to get some welding gloves. You're going to need either a welding helmet or welding goggles, depending upon which you prefer. This does create a lot of sparks, so it's really nice to kind of have a helmet to cover everything up. You're also going to want to have a welding jacket. This way you're not burning through your clothes, because if you get the sparks on you, there's a possibility that it will end up burning a little hole into your clothes or shoes or things like that. So make sure that you have a welding coat on. Then we have our plasma cutter. It's all ready. Just have to turn it on and set my amps. Well, how do I know what amperage to set it to? The first activity that you're going to do is cut 3 1/2-inch strips out of 3/8 inch metal. So on the front, there is a dial that has our amperage, and we are going to have it written right on the front. If we are doing the 3/8 inch, we want to set it to 25 amps. After that, then I just want to make sure I have my metal ready. Now, I have my directions right here just for the moment, but I'm not going to keep those there. You will get some metal, and you are also going to need to get a square and a piece of chalk. This way I can measure from the end a 1/2 inch in, okay? So all I have to do is set my square on the end, mark at a 1/2 inch, then use the square to draw myself a nice straight line so I have something to follow as I'm cutting, all right? So I'm gonna take this stuff, set it off to the side now. I'm going to prepare, get my hair back, don't want that to start on fire. You also, even though you have a shield on your face, you will need to wear safety glasses as well. Better to be safe than sorry. You don't want anything getting into your eyes. So make sure that you have your safety glasses on as well. I'm going to grab my helmet. All right. Then I'm going to have my gloves. Now, on the back of our machine is where the power is. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to turn the power on, and hopefully, if you turn this on, there should be a green light right on the front. If any of these other little buttons are flashing or showing a different color, please make sure to turn it off and come get me. I will take a look at it. Don't need to have any accidents happening. Now with our plasma cutter, when I end up hitting the trigger on here, there is a little safety feature. You can't just hit it. You actually have to lift up and then push the red part. Now the arc that's going to be coming out of here can range, depending on the type of plasma cutter you have, anywhere from 20,000 to 40,000 degrees. So it will cut through your fingers. It can hurt you very seriously. Please be careful. There's no taking this and pointing it at anybody. I'll show you what the arc looks like. Let me move my paper out of the way, just so you have an idea. When you do this, we want to protect our eyes. I can show you right now, but when you are actually physically cutting through your metal, make sure that your helmet is down. So to turn this on, you just put your finger underneath. There's the little red handle, and I'm going to turn it on. So that little arc at the end there, that's what's going to be getting up to 20,000 degrees. Now you're going to hear the air cleaning out our tip of our nozzle for a few moments after you went ahead and hit the trigger. All right, that's completely normal to have that happen. So it's extinguishing and purging out any debris that may have gotten inside of the tips where there are the consumables. One other thing that you want to do before you start is make sure that you look at that tip, because I don't want to have any debris on there. It tends to build up over time, so we can try and clean it off, or if we need to, then we will end up getting new tips for this. Okay, so I am all set to begin my very first cut. When you're doing this, good stance, good posture, be comfortable, all right? You want to go in a nice, slow, steady movement. I'm going to start with my tip off the edge of my metal, get the arc going, and then I'm simply going to cut towards myself as I am doing this, okay? I normally like to kind of rest an arm on a table and things like that. So I'm gonna move this where I am more comfortable. When I'm cutting, I never wanna cut on the angle iron, okay? We don't wanna cut on this. This is just to help support so we can actually get that cut going all the way through our metal. All right, so here we go, helmet down. I'm gonna start off the side. And you can hear that air purging itself out afterwards. It should only go for a couple seconds. If it keeps going like this, the next thing that you're going to want to do, like I said, it should have stopped by now. Then you can just lift up the handle and very quickly hit the red button without starting the arc, and that'll just finish purging out the air. Sometimes we need to actually unattach the air hose in the back if that needs be. So now that I'm done with this, I'm going to take, I'm not just going to set this down, I'm going to place it in between a slat so I know I'm not hitting that trigger unexpectedly. Once you're done, you're probably going to want to grab a pair of pliers, but you are going to have 3 pieces that are a 1/2 inch cut. You are allowed up to 6 times to try and cut your metal, and you will turn in the best 3 for yours, all right? If you have any questions on that or need help, please, please, please make sure that you ask. The second activity that you are going to do is you are going to be cutting out a design or a shape for your shepherd's hook. So we're learning at the beginning by cutting our 3 1/2 inch strips. Then afterwards, you are going to create a design, and you're going to have it drawn on the back of your packet. Must be approved by the instructor, so make sure you'll notice on the bottom that there is a signature that needs to be approved. When you're done, then you will grab, once it's approved, you will grab some metal out of the barrels in the back. There's all different shapes that are back there. You can keep it looking as a rectangle if you would like, or if you would like some type of a triangle to fit in the corner of your shepherd's hook, you can. Here's an example of a deer hoof, okay, a little hoof print. Now, when you are cutting something in the middle, the only difference is we're not starting off the edge, we actually have to start somewhere in the middle. What you're going to do with the handle is you're going to do, it's called a pierce. You will take this and you will actually start it at an angle and you will roll into it. Always roll away from yourself, and then you will go ahead and begin with your cut. If you end up coming, if you just go straight down, it's not going to do any cutting for you. It's just going to be a whole bunch of sparks and some slag things that are going to be popping up at you. So always make sure you hold it at an angle, kind of almost like fishing. Go forward with it, cut into it, pierce into it. Any questions, please, please, please make sure to ask. If not, happy plasma cutting.